Live. We're live.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to another live. What are you doing?
Vixing. My hair's getting long.
Stop it. Another live movie review.
Not
from
enough
us.
thumbs.
Yeah. You don't do sponsors for this, right?
Nope.
Okay.
Today's sponsor is
Us. Hey. Go. Two watchers.
Mahalo.
Awesome. Okay. So
What's the first one?
before we get started, if you
What?
guys have any Christmas movie suggestions, we are formulating our beautiful list for Christmas movies. So, and they can be any genre. Remember, any genre.
That's true.
So they can be
true.
scary Christmas.
Thanks, killing.
And Bill actually recommended Violent Night to us. So that is on
Oh,
our
I
list.
saw that on
we
the
put
screen
that on the list.
today.
So thank you, Bill, for recommending that. He will be happy to watch that one and critique that one. But yeah, so put in the comments anytime during this live or after any suggestions for Christmas-y type movies. So they can be anything that mentions Christmas, has Christmas in it at any point in the timeline of the movie. So it doesn't have to be just about Christmas and it doesn't have to be romantic. So any type of Christmas movie we're good with.
Thanks,
Okay.
guys, in advance.
Yeah. All right. So the first movie that we're going to review is Jurassic Park from 1993. So it's an oldie, but a goodie.
It is, despite the 10 movies that they've made that followed. I think even the first three I really enjoyed, but it's really, really hard to beat the original. This is definitely one of those films where it was just a great story done right the first time.
Yes.
Good story, great actors, even great visual effects, especially for its time.
For its time, coming out in the 90s.
It is timeless. It's still really enjoyable to watch. It's not watch it 20 years later and think, oh, man.
This was bad.
Yeah, that was bad. This is really, it's just a really good movie to come back to.
Yeah. Obviously, graphics and graphic design has changed over the past 20 plus years, but remembering when it came out in the 90s, it was advanced for its time, and you can tell they did a very good job with it.
It's a great theatrical experience, especially with that T-Rex roar.
Yeah,
that everybody knows.
Yeah, for sure. So we like this movie. We come back and watch it over and over and over again. So I'm sure you'll hear other reviews from us in the future on this one. But
who's your favorite character from it?
I like the kids. I think the kids do an amazing job.
They do a really good job
acting.
They're young
in this, considering their age. Yeah. So I really enjoy watching the kids and how they perform in the movie.
I think my favorite was Jeff Goldblum's character.
Yeah.
Very analytical guy.
I like the dude that gets eaten off the toilet too. That's
the blood-sucking lawyer.
I just like that he gets eaten off the toilet.
Yeah.
I don't like him as a character, but so your overall rating of Jurassic Park?
This is a 9.5.
I give it a 9. Yeah, I really enjoy it.
It's solid. A timeless classic.
Okay. The next one we watched is Identity Thief from 2013.
That's already 10 years ago. I didn't realize it was that old.
All right. So he gives it a 10 out of 10. Yeah. Awesome. It's a good one. We enjoy it. So Identity Thief was interesting, to say the least. It has Melissa, what's her last name?
Milano?
Nope, McCarthy. Melissa McCarthy and Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman does comedies really well, I think. He was in that show, movie Game Night.
Yeah. I think. And Melissa McCarthy does really well with comedy too. She's usually pretty funny. This one I thought was just so much language that I almost
unnecessary
couldn't enjoy it because there was just so much. But I mean, it was the stupid funny, the just mishap after mishap after mishap, and just everything going wrong. So the story of the movie was this: Jason Bateman, he has his character's name was Sandy, right? I believe Sandy. And
because he got made fun of it throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, Sandy Patterson. And so he gets a call at work, and this woman says, your identity has been stolen. I need you to confirm your address and social security number and all the things you don't give over the telephone
Yep.
to somebody that's just calling and lying to you. So he was taken very easily by her. And so she stole his identity, and she's a professional thief. She even has a credit card making machine so she can make credit cards from with other people's name on it and their info. And she made herself an ID and all of this with his name on it. And it worked out because his name is kind of a girly name, right? And he'll say throughout the movie, it's gender neutral. But
I knew one guy named Sandy.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a few movies with guys named Sandy in it. Yeah. So he's right. It is considered a gender neutral movie, or name. But so she steals his identity and basically robs him blind, maxes out all of his, ruins his credit. She maxes out multiple credit cards in his name. And he ends up, oh, hello.
Hey, kale the veggie.
He ends up owing, what was it, $10,000, I think?
Yes.
By the end of it. So really, she could have taken in for a whole lot more. But he decides to go on this crazy escapade to go find her. So he Googles her name, Googles her, or where she's been spending, and finds that she's in Florida. So he takes this trip from the north.
Hi, Butterfly.
I forget where he was, and drives down south and finds her. He actually tails her in a car and ends up hitting the car, and she
that's
gets
when
out.
They have their first physical interaction.
Yeah.
There.
And so throughout the movie, it's the two of them kind of at first battling each other, but then eventually they end up kind of working together as in the goal of getting her to come back and get his job back, because he was fired because his credit was bad and all this kind of stuff. So he long story short, he ends up getting her to like him and want to help him. So he takes her back home to his home, and she meets his wife and kids, and
she sees what
kind of falls in love with their family dynamic and ends up turning herself in.
She cried at one part of the movie because she realized
that he was a good person and what she was doing,
what life he had affected.
Yeah. Yep. And then at the end of the movie, they go back and they visit her in prison and take her food. And
she
all of these
ends
things.
up turning herself in.
She turns herself in and goes to jail.
So yeah, there's a couple of good things going on there. Somebody getting their just desserts.
Yeah. So overall, the storyline of the movie, I think, was good. There was just so much language that I don't know. I kept looking at him and saying, man, did they really have to throw that many F words in one sentence?
Yeah, it got pretty unnecessary. You really
it was a lot. So definitely don't watch that movie if you don't want to hear a lot of the F word.
Or if you have Angel Studios, you can censor all the language.
That's true. That's true. Okay, so that was Identity Thief from 2013. So what would you give it for overall rating?
I'll give it a 6.
I would give it about a 5.5 to a 6 also.
Set aside the language, it was still just an okay movie. I thought the way it flowed was pretty well, especially how they tied all the situations together. So,
I mean, if you're looking for a decent stupid comedy, that one would fit that bill.
Yeah, look out for Jason Bateman, and
he's got some pretty good comedies.
Although the only one I can think of really is Game Night. Sorry,
Game Night. Yeah, that one's good.
Yeah,
we've reviewed that one in the past.
He's a funny guy.
Okay, and then of course we always try to review one TV series. So this time is Flea Market Flip. I got into that. I like watching
crazy one.
I like watching the shows where they kind of take ugly and turn it into pretty.
Good idea generating shows.
Yeah, this one started in 2012 and it has 93 episodes, so it really runs for quite a while and it's pretty good. And
93. Did you finish them all?
I did.
93 episodes?
Yeah.
What?
It only took me a few weeks.
Were they 20-minute episodes?
No.
What? Okay.
I've been working on it for a few weeks. But it's good. And my kids even like sitting and watching it with me. So it's kind of fun to sit and watch. And I just love how they take the most random things. Like one group, they just got a regular ladder, but they turned it into this immaculate looking bookshelf. And I mean, it's really neat just to see what you can create out of literal junk. And they buy this stuff for really, really cheap and sell it for hundreds of dollars. And man, if you had time, you could really make a killing doing that kind of stuff.
But some of it was like selling, you can compare it to selling modern art, where there were some flops, some really bad ideas, and they're selling it at top dollar, and sometimes they're
then they find that they don't. Yeah, there's a few of them that they didn't come out ahead in the long run because they ended up spending more to revamp this thing, and then it was kind of just a unique idea that only they were interested in. So there is always that risk when you flip something, that you have to flip it with the audience of where you're going to sell it in mind, and kind of know the crowd before you
can't just make it for yourself.
So overall, I rate this one a 7 to an 8. I like it. I enjoy watching the renovation type shows. They're fun to me. Good time passers when I'm doing something else in the meantime.
I give 6.
Okay. So he doesn't like to fix things.
I wouldn't pick it. I wouldn't pick it, but I enjoy the shows that she has on. Okay,
so that's Flea Market Flip. And then with the kids, we watched Garfield the movie from 2004.
Man, I missed that one.
Yeah, I guess you didn't watch that one with us, but the girls and I watched this one. It's got Jennifer Love Hewitt. It's a good one. It's got Becken Meyer also is the main character. So it's cute. It's a cute version of the Garfield.
Garfield's just a funny cartoon.
And this one, it's kind of a mix of animation and live action. So there's kind of a mix there. Garfield is kind of an animated live action looking character. Obviously he's talking, so he's got to be animated in that way. But Odie is a regular dog that has just animated talking. So it's cute. It's a cute version of Garfield. And of course, Garfield dances and wears his sunglasses and eats everything in sight.
Lasagna, I'm sure.
Fat and happy, and it's a cute little love story between
John
and the veterinarian, who is Jennifer Love Hewitt's character, Liz. So it's a cute little love story between them, and how they kind of get together over Garfield and his ridiculous antics.
Great childhood memory, Garfield.
Butterfly says she loves Garfield. It was her childhood.
Yeah.
I grew up enjoying it too, the originals of Garfield. So it's always kind of fun to, hey, we are talking about Garfield the movie. You missed a couple of them, so you have to go back and watch our earlier reviews. But Garfield the movie was really cute. We really enjoy it. It's a cute new version of the old Garfield idea. I would probably give it a 7 out of 10.
Cool.
Okay, so you'll have to watch it and see if you agree with me on that one.
Do I have to?
Yeah, it's cute. All right, and the next one, of course, he has to get a scary one in. And it wasn't really scary. It was
is it that
the
one?
World's Biggest Ghost Hunt, the Pennhurst Asylum. So it's kind of like a documentary. I might have picked it, but for you.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
So it's sort of a documentary kind of ghost hunt thing. So this group goes in, I think it was
2 weeks.
Yeah, they went in for 2 weeks. 3 guys and 2 girls.
Yep.
Went in there. Two of them were clairvoyants, so they're sensitive to the spirit, whatever. And then the other 3 were scientists.
So very skeptical.
Well, they called themselves scientists, but really there was a mechanical engineer, an electrical engineer, and a geologist. So the geologist, I mean, I guess I could see that because the one girl was working with crystals, and so he was very skeptical. So the rocks, they're literally just rocks. So he was kind of the skeptic of the group. So it was kind of neat to see the group's dynamic and how different each of them were. And then they go into this asylum. So we went and we looked up the Pennhurst Asylum after watching it, and it was running for a really long time. Wasn't it like 20 something years?
Yeah.
Or maybe more than that.
So this place has been run down for quite some time,
Mhm.
and it is just a really, literally a dark environment. Run, man, how would you describe? It's a place that I would not want to spend 2 weeks worth of my time in.
Yeah. So I guess it was opened for around 100 or so years, and it was a mental institution basically where they had it was over 10,000 patients from children through adults
Yeah,
with mental disorders, disabilities.
yeah,
They were
folks
considered not fit
for
for
society.
society.
Yeah,
Um,
which we don't really have those kinds of places anymore.
yeah, and standards have changed on what's fitting in society and not
Yeah.
these days. So, um, it's kind of scary to think of what they considered not fit for society in the 1800s
Hmm.
is someone that can function with a little bit of help now. So
Yeah.
these people were institutionalized and put. I mean, these children even were institutionalized and put into these asylums where they just were abused and neglected, and families didn't come visit them, and it was just kind of a horrible story to read about this place and these people that lived there. And so those 10,000 people had died there at the facility
That's a
over the
lot of,
years.
yeah. That's a
There
lot
was
of
one
deaths.
doctor who had worked at the facility towards the end of its existence that came on and talked a little bit towards the end of it. Uh, and so it was interesting to see. And they say they made connections with some of the spirits. And the one clairvoyant, she thought she had felt a little girl's hand holding her hand, and so it was just kind of interesting what they were seeing and feeling when they were going through that place with their instruments and things. So
Yeah, they just have their set of tools. So one thing I really did like about this is that it was not over dramatized. I think Ghost Adventures is one that is notorious for having over dramatized productions. With they always have to insert some scary image that has nothing to do with whatever they're looking at. But so these guys are just going in there with their tools and observing and just documenting, almost like a home video style. So there's nothing it's not a highly produced, I guess.
yeah,
Uh,
it didn't feel fake. In other words, it
yeah,
felt like they were really just
they're just there,
expressing what
and
they were seeing and what they
yes,
were feeling while they were going through this. And they were kind of open and talking about
hmm.
what they felt and thought.
And so one of the exchanges I thought was really neat was that the skeptic was talking to one of the ones who had felt something, and he wasn't buying it. But then he also said, one thing that I don't one thing that I do validate or in not invalidate is, how what she
Your
was
feeling,
feeling,
right? Which
which
that's what
was
she was
which was
expressing.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he didn't believe in having the contact with the spirits or
Hmm.
whatever, and didn't
Yeah.
feel like she did. But he said if that's what you felt when you were in there, then
Yep.
that's valid
Can't
because
really
that's your
dismiss
feelings.
that.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so that was neat how they kind of interacted with each other and respected each other,
Hmm.
even though they were from different backgrounds and different beliefs and what was going to be
So
happening
that was
there.
another positive of that show, was that you had skeptics
Yeah.
and empaths,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sensitive folks to this stuff.
Yeah.
So,
So I would rate that
yeah,
one a 7.
yeah. Likewise, I give it a 7 as well. Interesting watch.
Okay. So if you like watching ghost hunting movies, this one's a pretty good one.
Thanks for picking
Yeah.
it.
All right. The next movie we watched was his pick.
I'm sorry,
Knock at the
guys.
Cabin from 2023. It's an M. Night movie. So
We like M. Night for his style.
usually we do, but the last few movies have kind of been disappointing.
So we talked about Old in the
Mhm.
past.
And that one was okay. It at least had a storyline.
When it comes to our M. Night viewing history, so obviously we've seen the Sixth Sense,
Uh-huh.
um,
Lady in the Water
and
was good.
the Village,
The Village.
Signs,
Yeah.
and what was the one that Unbreakable.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed all those movies, and she did too.
Yeah.
And Old
So we thought,
had
all
an
right, it's
interesting
another
plot.
M. Night movie.
Yeah.
It was the worst movie. Yeah, so our son watched it with us. We thought, oh, M. Night's good. You know, he puts out good movies, and
Yeah.
Kale likes these kind of movies. And so we let him sit and watch it with us. And we apologized to him afterwards. Like, man, this was not a good version of an M. Night movie.
He was missing the twist that he always has in his movies, a twist that's usually at the end.
So it was an apocalyptic world is going to come to an end if you don't make a choice kind of situation. And it was a family of 2 dads and a daughter, and they were on vacation in the middle of the woods, and this giant dude, I forget what his name is.
He plays Drax in those Marvel movies.
I mean, big dude. Like, you see this guy coming, and his name is Dave Bautista.
Oh yeah.
You see this guy coming, and you think twice about sticking around. Like,
how many of them were there?
He's a big guy.
There were 4?
There was 4 of them. There was him, and then he had 3 lackeys that were with him, 2 girls and a guy.
Wielding weapons. They had weapons, and they were approaching
the little girl. And this is a little Asian girl who had been adopted by this couple.
Maybe 6 or 7 years
old?
old?
6. Yeah, she was probably that. And they adopted her when she was maybe 1 to 2 years old. So, you know, she was out in the woods collecting grasshoppers, and the big dude came. His name was Leonard. And Leonard came and just started talking to her. Okay, so in my mind, I was going, you don't approach a little kid like that. That would be my first thing. And if I was the parent to this kid, I'd be running out there going,
yeah, where were they?
Who are you? And why are you talking to my little child? You know? And yeah, they were nowhere in sight. They were in the back of the house.
Yeah.
You couldn't even see her.
Yeah.
And I guess they figured they were in the middle of the woods. There's nobody else around for miles. So they didn't have to worry about her. Like, she wasn't going to walk away. So that was their thought, that they were safe where they were. There was no one else around. She could go and play.
Yeah, they're pretty isolated.
Yeah. But these guys came out of nowhere, this group of 4. And so the little girl, of course, got scared with this interaction with the big dude and ran into the house and went back and told the dads and said, you know, there's this guy coming. He's going to try to come into our house. Don't let him in the house.
They're in defense mode now.
So they believed her, thankfully, and tried to keep the guys out of the house. Well, they look through the window, how big this dude is, right? And they see all these weapons that these people are wielding, and I mean, these are giant weapons. Like,
so they don't put out a good vibe whatsoever. So they were
even
rightfully
though they're talking nice, they're trying to be calm and act like they're nice. Well, anyway, they force themselves into the house. There's a confrontation between the dads and this group of people.
They're trying to fight them off, essentially.
Yeah. And they end up tying up the family.
Yep.
And telling them that they have this choice to make, that they have to choose to kill one of the 3 of them to save the world. And if they say no, that they're not going to kill one of each other as a sacrifice, then the end of the world is coming by one plague after another.
And they said part of the world will be judged.
It was really weird.
Whatever that meant.
Just so strange.
So who's going to believe that?
Yeah. And you could tell, like, they were turning on the TV and showing these news broadcasts. Well, you can tell that they were pre-recorded news broadcasts. Like, the one
of the dads
came up and said that this is pre-recorded. This is not live. It says live, but you can see the recording symbol on the bottom. Like, it's not. So in my mind, I'm thinking this is all just a hoax, and they're just going to end up killing each other, right? Like, everybody's going to end up dead. They're going to all end up dying. Well, it ends up that the 4 bad guys start killing each other off, because every time that the family says, no, we're not going to kill each other,
they sacrifice
one of themselves. So in my mind, I'm going to let them keep doing this, let them kill themselves off. So and then you're free to go, right?
They're truly convinced of
this
thing
cult
that they believe.
That they're believing that it's the end of the world and this apocalypse and all this crap.
Yeah.
So you go through it, and they do end up killing themselves off. Well, the last Leonard giant guy ends up killing himself. So a suicide kind of issue. But then they're kind of seeing the things happening that are the plagues that they were told were going to happen. So this was really happening, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's what was weird. It was like really kind of dumb.
And
So it ended up that one of the dads believed it all and told the other one to kill him to save the way of life for the daughter.
You can do all the stuff with our daughter, enjoy life as it ought to be, and then convince the other dad to kill him. And
Yeah.
so that's what happened. And
yeah, the dad killed the other one, and you see him go and get the girl, and they drive off, and and all of the whatever
it stopped. All the world ending stopped,
and everything went back to normal. So it's just really, it was kind of a letdown for the movie because it was just another apocalyptic kind of end of the world movie, but it was poorly done.
I think the elements of the story were there, but they didn't execute it well.
No execution. It was just kind of over and over the same old, we're gonna kill you, one of you has to die, blah blah blah, and it just went on and on. I mean, it was
Dave Bautista's acting was good.
It was good, but I mean, it was a disappointing hour and 5 minutes of movie. It's a poor ending. Yes, very poor ending, and it was very lame.
It kept us interested the whole film because
we were hoping for something.
I think that was it. We were hoping for something,
for a twist. We were hoping for a typical M. Night kind of wow, that got me. I never would have seen that coming, but it never came. That never came. It was
Unbreakable had one of my favorite twists.
Yeah,
that's a good one to check out.
But this one was not that. Yeah. So we would not recommend Knock at the Cabin to you. Yeah. What would you rate this?
3/4 of 3/4 of 1 star.
So it doesn't even get a 1 from us, y'all. It's not good. I mean, it's not good. There's not very many movies that we say that to, but an hour and 5 minutes I can never get back. I know, buddy. I'm sorry. We will definitely find a better one for next time. So there you have it. Knock at the Cabin. Don't bother. But the one we watched after that was good.
Well, which one?
Geostorm from 2017.
We were just kind of scrolling through. What should we pick?
Yeah.
This one.
0 out of 10. We agree. Yes, we agree.
I totally thought Geostorm was, okay, a disaster movie. It's probably going to be really bad. Let's try it out. Because we like disaster movies.
We do.
We do. I mean, we watched.
So we went in it with no expectations, really, not really expecting it to be good.
And then Gerard Butler's on screen.
Yeah.
I think well, at first, before he appeared on screen, it showed some natural disaster. And I thought, okay, well, this doesn't really look like a B movie. That looks like good special effects. Mm-hmm. And then Gerard Butler shows up on screen. We really like him from a lot of movies.
And so we see his face and we go,
okay,
this might actually be a good one. And, and it was.
And you see more stars.
So basically with this one, Gerard Butler's character was brilliant. He was just a brilliant scientist mind. And he created this machine that could control the intensity of weather. So it could control so that natural disasters would not happen. So it would regulate nature, basically.
And this is this is stuff that's in orbit. If you think of a big,
so it's controlling Earth from outer space. Yeah.
So if there's weather occurrences, they can essentially disrupt the elements of that weather
and
that's
fix
causing
it so that it doesn't cause catastrophic events to happen. So no volcanoes, no earthquakes, no hurricanes, no destruction.
Yep.
That's kind of a natural phenomenon with weather.
There were 17 countries involved, I think, something like that.
Yep. So what ended up happening was they thought that he was too smart and controlling this too much. And so his company ended up firing him, which it was then run by his brother.
It was the administration, the president.
So the president ended up getting control of the company somehow. I can't really remember all the details with that, but the president of the US takes control. 16 other countries buy into it. And there's this 17 country circle that's kind of running what's going on. Gerard Butler's brother, which I forget their character name. I'm really bad with character names, you guys. I can't.
Yeah, me too.
I'm horrible with that. Jake Lawson and his brother Max Lawson. So Max was put in charge of of this company.
And fires his brother.
Yeah, fires him because he's told to by the president.
Yep.
Well, what ends up happening was there was somebody who was sabotaging the system and causing it to malfunction. And so it's causing these geostorms to happen, or these extreme weather storms that are destroying whole cities. And this person was trying to take over the system to try to cause problems. And his next plan was to send this catastrophic thing in to kill the president, so that you find out that it's the vice president that's doing this. And his whole goal in this was to kill off the president so he can take over and be the ultimate ruler.
And everybody that was going to be in succession, all the people that succeed the president, should the president die. And they did it at the Democratic National Convention. Everybody was all in one place. And that was the overall goal.
Right.
And so, and after Gerard Butler's character ends up getting fired, there's a deep conflict with he and his brother for a few years, or maybe it wasn't for some time, to where when the brother goes back to ask him for help because he's the guy that built the thing and needs to fix it now, there was a lot of friction that they had to get over, and that's part of the story, and it was pretty good.
The dynamic between the brothers to, kind of fix things. So it was good. It was a good overall story. They did end up getting back control of I forget what they named the system, but the system, something boy.
Dutch Boy.
Dutch Boy
was the name of this weather mitigation system.
And one part I thought was funny that they said that world control was the United States and China.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. That makes sense.
Hilarious, because how true is that?
Yeah.
Even though China would like to be first in that listing and then US second, but that's...
So that was the plot. It was neat to see. It was cool to see the design of the space station and the stuff that they did in space. I kind of wish they had gone with no sound out in space. I think Gravity did that. Interstellar did that because that would be more accurate, but who cares? There was a lot of intense scenes when they're doing spacewalks, trying to repair things.
I think the thing I really liked about it was there was so much story that the focus was not on the geostorms and the natural disasters. That was kind of a sideshow to the story that was going on and them trying to figure out what was happening with their system.
Because
what was causing the malfunction. And then they found out that it was human takeover.
Because 2012 was totally focused on the disasters.
Yeah. And a little too much. Yeah. So this one, was well done.
So it from a Earth is going to end perspective, I think the idea of having some kind of a weather mitigation system out in orbit is kind of a pretty brilliant idea if you could really pull that off.
And honestly, I could see that happening. I could see that coming to fruition at some point.
That is a form of adaptation and not necessarily, hey, let's go full electric cars, do away with gas cars. No, that's like a knee-jerk reaction kind of thing.
But it also teaches you a lesson that if you have something that's that controlling of the environment or this everything. I mean, human life.
Yeah.
Somebody can take control and
that's
abuse
that was the goal.
That's
what somebody tried to do.
Yeah. So that's kind of the lesson in this. If you develop something that can affect all of humanity,
somebody's going to want that.
Somebody's going to want control of that. Yeah. And you have to be very careful whose hands that fall into, because just like this movie, this kind of stuff can happen.
You can 100% rely on human nature.
Right. So, all right. What would you rate this one?
I give it 8.
Yeah, I give it an 8.5. I thought it was really well done. I enjoyed it. I mean, I was
really entertaining,
into it the whole time.
It was a gripping film.
It was
good visual effects, great cast, even some faces that I wasn't familiar with.
Yeah,
it was cool.
Yeah, it was a good one. So we definitely recommend Geostorm.
A nice surprise because, like she said earlier, we went in with zero expectations. I totally thought even with the title itself, I thought this was some kind of B production.
Yeah, we
film.
kind of said to each other, "Oh, Geostorm, great, another natural disaster movie. Let's do it."
Yeah.
And we were pleasantly
Yeah.
surprised. It was good. All right, and then the last one we're going to review is one we've seen before. It's God's Not Dead from 2014.
Oh, that was just today.
Yeah. So we just watched this afternoon. This is a good one. It's got actually several stories built into one. So it kind of has stories of, I want to say 5 different people that kind of merge together. And you see kind of how all of their lives touch each other by these random connections.
It's a Christian film.
It is.
And it's one that wasn't too terribly cheesy. It's pretty emotional. I really didn't think it was over the top. It hits on some real things that people think about, and you hear those arguments laid out. The existence of God or the existence of the Big Bang, which came first and such.
Yeah, the main story behind this was there was a teacher who in this college that was an atheist, which I had a teacher like this when I was in college. So this movie kind of was a personal thing for me too, I guess. And he's very much anti-God. And you find out throughout the movie that it's because he feels like God betrayed him by taking his mother from him years before.
Yeah.
And so he kind of had this personal vendetta against God because he didn't want what happened to have happened. So he was blaming God pretty much for what happened to his mother.
So how many times have you heard that story from one of your friends? I mean, you hear that a lot.
Right. But anyway, he's teaching this classroom full of college students and a philosophy class. Yeah. And he basically tells the entire class that they need to write on this paper that God is dead.
Yeah.
Well, then one of the students, because there's always one. One student says, "No, I can't do that because I don't believe that. I can't." And he says, "Well, just write it down because for the purpose of this class, just write it down. Like you don't have to have this personal feeling, but I want you to write this down." So basically the teacher was trying to force him to write this. And he was so convicted. He said, I just can't write this because this is not truth. And I can't write this lie.
Yeah.
And so he wouldn't do it. And so then the teacher challenged him, well, let's see, can you prove that he's not? So the kid's like, all right, let's do this. So basically the movie is about this kid coming in and the teacher's giving him 20 minutes of class time every day for 2 weeks or something, wasn't it? It was something like a significant amount of time, which is impressive for a college teacher to give up that much of his class time to do. But basically what the kid did was he proved his point by using atheist points.
Yeah.
So it was really well done in the fact that he took what would be the argument against his thought process and used it to his benefit. So used it to share the truth with the class. And then through that whole thing, he really realizes himself what he's teaching and what he's putting out to the class. And then several of the classmates also find this hope also. So the movie is about hope and redemption and kind of this you're angry because things happen to you in your life, but there's a purpose, and it all comes to a full circle at some point, and everything is for a reason, a specific reason, and has its purpose.
And the rest of the students in the beginning were, they were all signing this petition, excuse me, for the purpose of, for the purpose of the class. And so they signed up to it blindly, but then he caused them to think.
The student that was giving the lectures.
Yeah. And so, you don't have to just accept things blindly. These are things that everybody thinks about.
Yeah. And by the end, when he was done with his lecture, he gave his last point. And the teacher was basically done with him at that point. Like the teacher got up and walked out of the classroom. Yeah, and the rest of the students stood up in support. I think almost all of them. I think there were a few that stayed in their seats, but majority of the class stood up in support of
at a minimum
the kid because
where at a minimum they could at least claim that God is not dead.
Right. So then the movie ends with the Newsboys giving a concert, and there's lots of other little stories filtered in there of people finding the truth and finding the hope through
2 different cultures. There's 2 different cultures. One of them got disowned by their family, and then another was it was an Asian family,
Chinese, and the dad was not accepting of his son. Didn't disown him or anything like that, but did not accept him and was angry with him for his thought that there was.
But in the other case, the daughter was disowned. She was slapped in the face really hard, and then forced out of the house and essentially evicted and not allowed back in. Yeah.
So there was a lot of issues going on in the movie. At the end of the movie, the atheist teacher does find his hope and really just turns it all around and realizes that he was just angry and selfish.
He let go of that anger finally.
Let go of all of that, and he does end up dying at the end of the movie. So it's a good one. It's a good movie. I think it was for a lower budget Christian film. I think it was very, very well done, and it has some big names in it. It had the Newsboys in it, and it had
Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah, and it had the Robinson couple, Willie
the Duck
and
Dynasty
Corey
guy.
Robinson from Duck Dynasty. So,
and Kevin Sorbo, he was famous in a series called, or a movie, Hercules, long time ago.
Oh yeah,
long time ago.
Yep, and he was the atheist teacher.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah. It was good. I love watching that one. I've seen it many times before. When it first came out, it was a big thing.
There's 3 of them, I think.
There is.
And
all have different kind of stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like all of them.
Yeah. I enjoy them. And like you said, they're tearjerkers. They really get you thinking and really get your emotions going. So I would give it 8 to 9.
Likewise. I'll say 8.5.
Okay. There you go. So that's what we have for you this week. So that's our movie mashup wrap up. So I know that was good, right?
You just came up with that on the spot.
I know. Okay. So next Sunday will be our first movie review for Christmas movies. Yes.
The Christmas movies. Yeah, I love Christmas movies.
So we've already watched a couple of them. So they're already in our agenda to talk about next week. So we're going to keep watching more this week. Get those Christmas movies going. So give us your suggestions in the comments. So we'd love to hear what you'd like to have us watch Christmas related or even New Year's related.
Jaws 2 a Christmas movie?
Stop it. If you can prove it by showing something Christmassy in it, then I guess it counts. So.
It was produced on December 24th.
He's going to try, y'all. He's going to try and get as much out of it as he can with the scary side of stuff. But anyway, give us a shout out in the comments. Let us know you love Christmas movies. Miyoko, me too, girl. Let's go. So give me some suggestions of what you would love for us to review, and we'll throw those out there. So we've already got a pretty good list going. I think I've got 40 something movies on that list. I know, right? So let's get that number higher. I'm all for it. So we'll see how many we can squeeze in the next month. All right. So thanks for tuning in. We're happy you guys are here. Tell your friends about us. Have them click, like, subscribe, all the good stuff, so we can get some more viewers on here, more comments and stuff going. We would love that to happen. So
get ready for Tuesday's episode.
Yeah, Tuesday we are reviewing. Should we tell them or make them wait?
We can tell them.
Okay.
What is it?
Jaws. So we're going to be reviewing the classic Jaws.
Yeah.
So.
And there's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be the start of a new series, but I'm going to have my faves.
And they're his faves. So.
Just my faves. Something I decided to put together. It'll come out sometime this week. We'll give you a heads up.
Take it as you will. All right. So we're out of here. Thanks for checking us out, and we will see you on Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.